Yeah.
Get ready, get ready, get ready. We are in session 10. So the question we have for you today is, what are your energy leaks? How do you know that you have them? And what can you actually begin to do to clean those up? Right? So we are about to have an amazing, powerful, impactful conversation. And the only way I think we can actually begin to have this alive for you in your life is to distinguish the difference between 3D and 5D, right, Connie? Because this is a really elevated conversation for our listeners. And we're going to bring it home. We are going to transform the way that you see problems in your life, because if you got a problem, you got possibility, baby.
That's right. Yeah.
So Connie, why don't you share for our listeners really, because I know you and I, we bat around with this all the time, but really for our listeners, what is the difference between 3D and 5D? What does that look like, sound like, feel like, so that they can distinguish where they're at, or maybe, that song was stuck in the middle. They could be stuck somewhere in the middle, and on their way to 5D. So how can they distinguish that?
Yeah. So when I refer to 3D, it's really all about the physical things that we could see, touch, hear, like our physical sensations that have us be present in the world. So most of the world operates in 3D. That's, three dimensions. So that's pretty much about 3D. Like what you could, like most everybody's everyday experience is in 3D. And then there's those of us who like to play in 5D, which is really like the quantum level of the work that's done on the quantum plane, the spiritual plane, where creation actually resides. And there's the doing, right? Day-to-day actions, which are important, or else because we can't just sit around and meditate and nothing will get done, right? And so those 3D action steps are important. And I know for myself, I spend time daily, morning and night, creating my life in the 5D, which is like visualizing, seeing things as if they were already here, being in feeling. It's not just the physical sensation, but more the emotional response of calling things in. So 3D, I would say, has a more like you're pushing, versus 5D is more pulling or attracting. Yeah. Did that resonate?
That's perfect. I assert our listeners are at any spectrum of that. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
And we all begin at 3D. And then as we plug into people like us and learn what's available and possible and really how to create a life with velocity, you can tune in, hone in on that 5D realm to create faster, results, period. Yes?
Yep.
And so today, the conversation really is around energy leaks. And the question is, how do I know that I have them? So a great question that was proposed to me about, how do you know if you've got energy leaks or not is if you are already living your next level your next level life. The question becomes, well, what would you be doing? Better yet, what would you not be doing?
Oh, yeah. Just as important, if not more.
More important.
Yeah.
So that's where we're diving in today. And you say, Shannon, what does this have anything to do? We were just talking about gardens and planting seeds, right? Well, energy leaks, consider, take on the possibility that energy leaks are like moles in your yard, moles in your garden.
Yeah. And weeds.
Say that again.
Weeds.
Weeds.
Moles and weeds.
Yes. And don't
they come in different forms,
They do come in different forms.
Yes.
And, where I live, first and foremost, moles and energy leaks are sneaky, aren't they? They could be running around pit and you don't even know. And then all of a sudden, it is just like pow, pow, right? And so you have this beautiful grass, you have this beautiful yard, you have all these beautiful flowers, and then goodness gracious, you've got, runs all through your yard. And there's only one way to fix that. That's to get rid of the moles. Yeah. And so that's what we're talking about here today is energy leaks. And so the question really becomes, tune in for yourselves. Imagine, take a deep breath, get grounded in your sits bones. Yes. And imagine if I was already living the next version of me, of my life, of my health, of my business, of my marriage, of my relationships, what would I be doing? And most people, I'm just being straight with you, they're like, I don't even know. Great. That's great. If you don't know, that's great. Then consider, what would you not be doing? And so that brings us into the energy leaks. How do you know if you have them? Well, you have them if if there's an area of your life, an area of your business, an area of your health, an area of your relationships where there is not like pure pleasure or joy. Yeah. And I got it. That word pleasure might be uncomfortable for you. It in the past, up until recently, it was for me too. You are exactly who we're talking to. Because I am clear now than ever that we were put on this planet at such a time as this with these innate gifts for an experience of pleasure and delight. Let me answer that phone. So if you are tuned in, turned on to living a life or eating or running your business or fill in the blank with pure pleasure, the question is, can you even overeat or undereat? Because what we're really pointing to today is a life of deprivation or a life of punishing or a life of suffering, ladies, we say is like no longer allowable or exists. Would you agree with that, Connie?
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are certain things that are easier to bring. So in my world of being a mental fitness champion, we talk about the sage perspective, which everything could be is a gift or a blessing or opportunity. And some situations are easy to see that. Other situations require like Jedi master training. So I want our listeners to keep that in mind. Yeah. And it's a muscle. It's actually a muscle. It's a neural pathway that you continue to build and strengthen and go. So don't have an expectation. Like it's unrealistic to have an expectation to say, oh, well, this area of my life is not where I want it to be. And like that, it's going to just transform it. There's some real things to do in the 3D and in the 5D if you want to accelerate it, right? To make that happen. Yeah.
And some of the work that I have currently have been just engrossed in is number one, learning about your field of favor. So if we're talking about your business, right, the question is, are you in your field of favor, right? And how do you know, Connie, if you're in your field of favor or not?
Well, I would say for me, it is being in a state of flow and grace and alignment. Things happen like I don't believe in coincidences. I call them God incidences, but like things show up like, they're aligned, a lot of alignment.
Bingo.
That's what I would say.
Absolutely. And if you have a case of the Mondays, however, your Mondays are starting at 3:00 on Sunday, you most likely are not in your field of favor. Yes?
Right.
So where this is all coming from, this conversation really got stirred up in me was I had a customer who came in. She had just read the book called The 6 Types of the Working Genius. And it's a short and very quick book. And it's not like I didn't already know some of that information in there, but it illuminated it on a whole new level that really profoundly and deeply impacted me, right? Because I think every time we listen to something, if we're in a different space and place, which if you're moving at the space, the path that we are, I mean, I could listen to this book like now and hear completely different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the story is really great. It's a parable. So it's a gentleman telling a story about how he, was really great at his job. And then all of a sudden, they wanted to acknowledge him and promote him, right? To the next level or manager or whatever. And what he quickly found was, after this promotion, like he ended up becoming home from work drained and lifeless and grumbly and hating his life, which then, fed into his marriage, right? And his workers like hated to work with him. And we're like, what's different here? I'm doing the same thing. However, I'm now doing it at the next level up. So what happened, what he discovered through this, 6 types of working genius was that there are basically 6 different types of personalities. And while we might be good at certain things, right? I did 18 years of corporate tax and accounting. I have to be good at crunching numbers, problem solving, right? Technology, right? Software, equipment, whatever. However, I can promise you with every inch of my fiber, it was not my working genius. It was not what I came here to do. And it is someone's. It's just not mine.
Right.
So when you begin to discover and really unearth your soul's work, your soul purpose, this is coming into your field of favor, and also coming into an alignment with your working genius. What are natural expressions of who you are that when you turn that on, and you don't even know you're turning on, you're just being you, like money and joy and favor and expectancy and like pleasure and all these things abound you. And you're like, I'm just playing. That's it, right?
Yeah. And also, I think that it's like when you lose time.
100%.
Yeah. Like
100%.
you look up and it's like, how did 3 hours just go by?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So one of the things, and again, this is just a silly example, but we share these things so that you get in, the crux of your own life, as you begin to, so I'm listening to this book and I'm like, okay, what in my business am I doing that if I was already the next level of me, would I not be doing? What is not serving me? And I have to tell you, we get so, while I'm in my field of favor, I can still be doing things that aren't aiding and supporting me and getting to the next level or elevating myself, right? I'm still operating. Yeah, here's the genius, right? Here's a writer downer. Whatever got you here is not going to get you there, right?
Yeah. 10,000 yeses. Yeah.
10,000 yeses. Write that down. What got you here is not going to get you there. So we really do need to be on a continual flushing or looking or, analyzing of, where am I losing? This is the energy leak. Where am I losing my love, my luster, my joy? And one thing that I quickly saw was like networking. It just was not like it served its purpose for a really, 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 really long time. I became an expert in my industry, an expert in my region, an expert in my field. People sought me out. It is not like of service to me anymore. I have other methods and methodologies that are, attracting people into my world. Connie, what maybe in your, and then we'll move to, the personal story that I wanted to share. But what in your business can you see that you have begun to shift? You saw was maybe robbing you of your joy and pleasure in your business, and that the moment you shifted it, it just things began to line up and explode for you.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because it just recently happened about 5 weeks ago. I founded a company called Own Your Life in 2017. And the basis of that at the time was this holistic financial model that am in love with. It just is one of the smartest things I've seen. And some personal things happened, and I walked away from that. And then, Nicholas went to heaven. So I was dealing with rebuilding my whole world from that, and really focusing on my love of frequencies and mindset and the brain, rewiring the brain, all the things, right? And my dear friend kept saying to me, what about this holistic financial piece? What about this holistic? Your business is literally called Own Your Life. How are you really fully serving your people? I get that you're making a difference physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And if they cannot finance it, if they are not financially free, then what are you doing? And I was like, oh, yeah, like that really was a self expression. And so, like, really having to put my ego aside because I got my feelings hurt, basically, is what happened. And through the growth and development that we're committed to, seeing like this really is part of my self-expression. And now like everything just so fits together. And when I talk about the financial freedom principles of four up and four down, it includes all of the financial holistic pieces, and it includes, because what must come up is our frequency, right? Because if you're not vibrating at a high frequency, money is just not in your world. And what needs to come down is our negative mindset, which is like, oh, by the way, those two pieces are what I have been doing. And so it was like really humbling myself and my ego to recognize that, yes, this is really like I walked away from it. Even though it was part of my joy and self-expression because I got my feelings hurt. Yeah. And now here I am again and excited, and it all like is like clicking together, and like things are opening that like you cannot, like I say things to people and I'm like, you can't make this up. And I'm like, I know. And so yeah, that's what's been going on here. Yeah.
Your field of favor.
Yeah.
Your field of favor. Like who you were designed to be is alive. Like I think that's one of the things I'm just in awe with, between studying, this kingdom entrepreneurship where, really, honing in on your field of favor. Like God is such an orchestrator that he knew the world needed you. Yeah. And it's like you were given a look, a smell, a voice, body, mind, gifts, right?
Yeah, your own blueprint.
Your own blueprint on purpose. And it really, really, in like my whole hearts, I am hungry for honoring that.
Yeah.
Like, what'd you send me here for? Let me go be on fire for you. Because when we're on fire for him, like we get to make an impact. We get to like change the world in a way that I know that so many people are just hungry for. And in the process comes joy, comes pleasure, comes abundance. Like that's the juice of all of it.
Yeah.
So it's so yummy. So where all this conversation came from was this silly story. And I say silly, and it's so significant, right? So where in your life do you think something is so small and so silly, yet it is, I always say, big doors swing on little hinges, right? There's a little writer downer for you.
Big doors, writer downer.
Big doors swing on little hinges. So a little hinge in my life has been cleaning my house, right? So
your newly remodeled, beautiful home.
Yes, my newly remodeled floor to ceiling to all the inner workings.
Literally, yeah.
Literally.
Wiring.
And so I remember, many moons ago, my former mother-in-law, she's German. And so this is how deeply rooted some things can actually be in you, right? Like how they imprinted on you. So just begin to look. There's nothing wrong here. It was just like, I keep looking like, what has taken me so long to make such a simple decision? Like and when you can begin to see it, you can disappear. But until you take a look at it, until you're willing. So I'm like, okay, Shannon, what is this? Why are you spending all day Sunday, cleaning your house, which
Your day off.
my day off. Yeah.
One day off.
One day off cleaning my house. And, so I'm diving in. I'm like, well, it's honorable, right? And Lord knows I want to, honor this beautiful home that the Lord has blessed me with the abundance. Like, I want to honor that, right? And I just kept looking and I'm like, but surely he would not have you spend your day off. I mean, I'm like, what is the disconnect? And then I'm like, okay, well, my prior mother-in-law, she was German. And I'm telling you, in the German, history and tradition, like, it is honorable, like cleaning is honorable.
I was raised German. My family's German, and my mother was going to be a nun. And so like those nuns, they clean. They mean business. I totally get what you're saying. And I remember having these conversations with you, like the level of clean that you would go to. I'm like, wow, that's like a spring cleaning for me. And you were like, that was how it was almost on a weekly basis.
Yes. So for a really long time, I mean, we're talking scrubbing baseboards, getting out the carpet, deep cleaning, like all the time, very weekly. And so here we have this newly renovated home. I am, 54 different shades of Shannon from back then, right? Like
version 8, yeah.
Version 94.3. Yeah. And I'm still grappling with, what is it that won't have me hire a cleaning person? And I'm still looking, I'm still in the like crux of it. And what's so is I have officially hired a recommended, right, person to come over and clean our house. She just came over and visited on Sunday. I'm so in love with her. Now, here will be the trick. If you can relate to this, ladies, for me not to clean before she comes over to clean, right?
Yeah.
But there's so, like, it is an energy, and here's how you know it, and it's an energy leak. So I'm in, literally, it's Sunday. I'm in the middle of cleaning. I'm like, please come over. I need to hire you, and she all starts with a deep clean, and she's going to pick a day. She's going to come over and deep clean on April the 1st. And then we're going to get on a bi-weekly. And she's like, oh, this is easy. I think I could have this done in like 2.5 hours. And I was like, 2.5 hours? I mean, this is pretty much like 4 to 6 hours of my day. And she's like, no. I'm like, oh yeah. She's like, let me do what will, like, actually fills her up. She like loves to clean houses. She loves to do the detail work. She will even like make your beds, take your sheets off, wash your sheets. And I'm like, oh, the Lord has sent you. I am sure of. And I'm really clear, ladies, like this is physically, mentally, and emotionally a process for me to trust somebody to come and do their gift, allow them to do their gift while it is not mine. It is an energy leak. If she thinks it's only going to take her 2.5 hours where it would have taken me 4 or 6, like if I actually calculated out my hourly rate, like I should not be cleaning my own house.
Right. And that's a great benchmark, right? What you just said, like that is the writer downer. Like, what is your hourly rate that you deserve? And what activities are not your wheelhouse that are the energy leaks? And like, consider like there's more resources now than ever before to support us.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, like you said, then they get to be their highest expression.
Oh,
it's juicy. Yeah.
It is she is so excited. She is so lit up. Like, come on over, right? And it's so interesting to watch. Like, I'm literally watching my brain patterns, Connie. I'm watching my feeling, my emotions. This is just simply hiring someone to clean my house. But it's so deep rooted. There's so much attached. Like, I can see, if it's this deep rooted, if it's this is exactly what it is that I need to take me to get to the next level. And you can attach whatever, I mean, I can make multiple things up. This is about being worthy. This is about surrendering, right? This is about allowing. I mean, this is like a magic button for me. Receiving, right? To receive. So even if I was not doing income producing activities during the time that she is going to, you know, on my Sunday, if I was doing nothing, the ability to give me the space and grace to do nothing, such that on, you know, the rest of my days, I'm filled up and fueled up. I'm actually expanding my worth, expanding my value that I can put into the marketplace just by allowing her to do her genius. The other thing I got from that book, the six types of the working genius, is I am not a finisher. I'm a great starter. I am not a finisher. So I'm looking around going, oh my gosh, I have like 95 million projects that are unfinished, all started. And how can I begin to, you know, is it hiring a handyman? Is it just setting aside the time so I can knock these out? Like, what is it? So ladies, as you begin to become aware of your genius, your gifts, and who you are being inside of, like, I'm consciously creating the next level of me, but this one behavior, this one thought is holding me captive. And I'm saying, burn the ships, right? Set the captives free. And I hope you're finding value in that. Connie, what are you hearing?
Well, one of the things like you keep alluding to is like what got you here is not going to get you there.
That's right.
And one of the things that I have definitely incorporated into my practice, my everyday life, is living from what I call as future Connie, right? And so last week was my birthday. I turned 51.
Happy birthday.
And yeah.
Happy birthday. We're going to party like it's birthday.
Oh, and Shannon had me over on Sunday after she had cleaned her house. And I'm going to just say, like, you want to hit her up. Like, I don't know what magic she does, but it literally, like, we had this great steak on Christmas for Christmas. The steak that we had on my birthday, it was like an orgasmic experience.
Pleasure, baby.
It was ultimate. Like, literally, I would take a bite and she would say something. I'm like, just give me a minute.
Pleasure, pure pleasure.
Just give me a minute. Oh, and so, you know, and part of that is like, as I'm releasing weight, it is like, one, you said, like, you know, when you are getting pleasure from the food you're eating, it's you don't have to be in deprivation. Like, it doesn't have to be a stressful thing.
Yeah.
And in the past, every birthday included, so I grew up, my favorite cake was this ooey gooey butter cake, which is a St. Louis thing. And that's what my mom would make for me. And last year, Ben, my husband, said, what do you want for your birthday? Because he doesn't really celebrate birthdays. And I said, you know, we had just been dealing with my parents and I was out of town and I was getting back into my life in St. Louis after being gone for about 2 months. And I said, just get me an ooey gooey butter cake. That's all I wanted. And now the thought of, because I've been living so much from future Connie, like future Connie doesn't do that. Like, she just doesn't require it or want it or desire it. And it was like, I went through the whole birthday weekend with like literally zero desire, because I'm rewiring my brain to live from the future Connie and what I'm attracting. And so really, it's, for me, it's been this future work that, you know, and we do this with different modalities that we practice. And you know, we could do that with you if you're interested. It's reach out. And it's just it has made like the difference. I have been on 95 million weight loss programs. My parents own 12 weight loss clinics from the time I was 10 until I was 20. And it has impacted my body in the way it has impacted my body, such that I have some weight to release, and it's been happening and it's great. And working with Haley Stone, she's brilliant. Would be glad to give her information out as a referral if anybody's looking for like the difference. Like I've done literally everything I know to do. And this has been the easiest thing because again, we talk about like the energy leaks are gone because in the past it was like I would sabotage whatever I was doing, not look at my thoughts and feelings, just only on the actions. And it never even occurred to me to approach it from the future I was living into. Like there's an idea.
There's an idea. Who came up with that one?
Right. And actually paying attention to the food that you're eating and enjoy the food that you're eating.
Right.
And pay attention to like, one, are you even hungry? Does your body even calling for food? And two, as you're eating, when are you like, when do you hit that satiety level?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so it's like, it's not about the food at all.
Right.
And I just know my body functions at the level I want it to function at without sugar and gluten for me. And it's not a thing. It's like not a thing anymore. And so yeah, that living from the next version of you, and that includes like where are the moles, where are the weeds, where like what no longer serves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just like if you already were the next level of you, would your house look the way it looks? Would your office look the way it looks? Would your car look the way it's looked? Like, I mean, and this is where you get to do the ugly work, right? I mean, you know, it ain't pretty, and trust me, it is so worth it. And it's not like you have to take it all, you know, my husband's like, oh, it's always like you're, you know, killing snakes. And I'm like, so I'm committed to not killing snakes anymore, right? But to actually just doing the feel good feelings and, you know, taking on one thing at a time. This whole house cleaning thing has inspired my daughter, right? So she went and literally emptied everything out of her closet. She just went, her birthday's also coming up. I'm in love with a whole bunch of March people, right? So she just went shopping with her Nana. And when she came home, she color coordinated. It looked like a rainbow in her closet. I think it took her like 2 days, right? So she put everything on the floor in piles. These are the colors that they are, and then she, you know, hung them back up in a rainbow. And for her, it feels so good. It feels so good. And you know, that really just brings into my conscious awareness. You know, it's so easy for me to guide my tiny, right? So women, are you doing in your own life or putting up with something in your own life that you would not allow your child to put up with? You know, are they, I mean, it's so easy for me to, you know, be disassociated and say that to her. Like, if she was spending 6 hours of doing something that she absolutely hated, that made her angry or frustrated, or even if she got super smart about it and started listening to a podcast or training, you know, you got to ask yourself, is this really serving you or not? Or is it time to just make a pivot, make some changes? So, you know, that was another thing when she was like, Mom, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, wow, everything we do, we are teaching, we are modeling. And
people are watching.
And I know that she is tenfold beyond me, you know, and isn't that the gift of listening to our podcast, right? You can learn from all of our mistakes, right, Connie? Because Lord knows we've made a bunch. You can get to, you know, high enlightenment, velocity, abundance, freedom faster than we did. And I say we did it pretty darn fast.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
And continually like weeding the garden, killing the moles, you know, just continually expand.
Yes.
And it does, you know, it doesn't go like this.
Correct.
It's more like this,
yes.
And around, and you know, then it, you know, that's really the trajectory. We think it has to go like a certain way, and
yes.
It's typically not like that.
It is typically not like that.
Yeah.
And just to know that your journey, like we see you, we hear you, like we want to be like what we're committed to creating here in this group, in this podcast is, where we get to touch, move, and inspire women, and that you are, reaching out to us and you are commenting or liking or sharing the knowledge and wisdom that you are receiving. And like that, like yummy, juicy, delicious relationship. Like I'm so in awe and in love when somebody, walks through the door and they're like, I listened to your podcast. It was amazing. And I got this and this and this and that. Like that is what we want to hear from you. So what are you hearing in this conversation? What energy leaks are you beginning to witness in your own life that maybe prior to up into this moment, you could not see, you could not hear, or maybe you couldn't even be with, right? We get that. We can, have that conversation alongside of you. That's the joy of having a soul sister is, get to see and witness each other's life and, kind of hold your hand through that. I was saying to Connie, because I'm now starting to study the human design, right? So last night, or maybe it was this morning, I can't remember. Anyway, I'm like looking up Connie's human design because I'm like, you complete me. She's
Yeah.
like, I'm not a finisher. I'm like, I think you are, Miss Teacher. You are such a finisher. You're like getting out your little clipbook and
I
going,
do have check marks. I
check
do
mark.
like
Did we do this? Did we do this? Did we do this? And I'm like, oh, I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Because I'm really good at, starting things and getting the energy going. And then Connie's like, okay, sweep, sweep, sweep. Let's get it all done. Like, thank you. So learning human design, learn about your aura, learn about, who you really are, and, begin to distinguish, is this something that I learned? I mean, this imprint of cleaning my home as it really, I mean, the more I look at it, it's like a martyr persona, right? Like a servitude, like it means something that, I would be on my hands and knees and maybe
literally
literally, and
scrubbing the
maybe
baseboards.
in the beginning, like that Shannon, that was perfect. But the Shannon now, it's time to set her free in every area, right? Every area, time to set her free and say, okay, what's now available and possible? Beautiful.
Yeah.
Anything else, Miss Connie?
Well, I would just invite our listeners to look at, what, what is serving them, what is no longer serving them. And there's no purpose in like beating ourselves up for any of the past that's in the past. Like everyone does the best they can with the tools they have at the time.
Amen.
And begin to be just an inquiry, just being curious versus judgmental with this. Be gentle with ourselves. This morning I was on a coaching call with Haley, my rewiring my brain for weight loss coach. And so tomorrow is the 3rd anniversary of my son having his heart attack and instantly going on to the next realm for his journey. And there was a lot of high emotions. And again, in the past, up until recently, I've used food to comfort and like all the things, deal with my stress. And that no longer serves me. And that's certainly not part of the future Connie that I'm living into. And so oftentimes, even though like I'm telling people all the time, like, oh, empathy is the sage superpower, and like empathy towards yourself is like where it starts. And sometimes we need to hear it from someone else, And so I'm saying to you, have empathy with yourself for where you are, begin to create where you want to be. Reach out to us. We have like the Facebook group, we have services that can support that. We find your own services and support in your area. Like it doesn't have to be with us. We're just saying we're available and here for service. And who is that future you that's calling you forward such that you get to live on purpose, with purpose, for purpose, in alignment. Because when Shannon said at the beginning of the podcast, it is so true. Your like we did a whole podcast on this. Your roar is required. Your presence is needed now more than ever, ever, ever. So we invite you to be on this journey with us.
Mm.
Yeah, it's an honor.
It is an honor.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful goddesses. Well, until we play again, love you, love you, love you. Like it, tag it, post it, share it, comment, and review. We would love to hear from you. Mwah.
And one more thing.
Ooh.
If people are living in the St. Louis area, 2 weeks from today, Shannon is graciously hosting an event where we're going to be playing with frequencies. And it's a free event. There are only 25 spots available. And we'll be putting an event thing on the Facebook page. So if you'd like to come and play with the frequency world, which is more the 5D, consider yourself invited.
Yes.
And there's going to be living water available.
I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you.